Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you are doing well. This is the professor, and I know it's been a long time since we talked about Novatech. Well, today I have a lot of information for you about Novatech, what's going on. So I need you to sit down, listen. Hopefully, if you have questions, you can ask under the chat, and I'll make my best to respond. Now, first thing first, you would remember that back on February, I believe it was 5th, February 5 this year, 2024. The law firm of Morris Legal, big law firm in Miami, who's been litigating those Ponzi scheme, filed a lawsuit against Cynthia Pétion, her husband Eddie Pétion, and of course Emini FX, and some of the people who basically sort of aided and abetted that type of Ponzi scheme. Well, after the lawsuit was filed, Mr. Morris did some interviews, and a lot of people sort of got a little bit of information of what was going on. But I want to tell you that with something like that, investigation is very, very important. The law firm of Morris Legal was certainly conducted their own investigation into this. And the state attorney general in New York, Letitia James, also had been conducting investigations and interviewed some of the main players in the Novatech Ponzi scheme. So what had happened, the investigators basically from Morris Legal had uncovered a lot of information, including where Cynthia Pétion is and Eddie Pétion and their children and their families. So they've got all that information. So what are they going to do with the information? Well, first thing first, let me just give you some update. I mean, that's one of the updates that they are conducting investigations. And now they have a sort of a pretty good idea where your money is, and they also have a pretty good idea how much money there is. So quite frankly, the money that Cynthia Pétion collected from people all around the world in South America, in the Caribbean, in the United States, especially in New York within the Haitian community, is a staggering $47 billion. Okay? We're not talking about 2 million, 10 million. I'm talking about 47 billion. And you can imagine that with over 600,000 users or investors of Emini FX, that money is quite possible. So that money is somewhere around there. And this lawsuit, and I want you to understand, because a lot of you have been asking questions about what's going on. And I want to tell you guys that anything in the court system takes a long time to sort of, come to an end, especially litigation. I spent nearly 20 years as a litigator. It takes time, okay? Nothing is easy. But I can tell you that from what I know, the law office of Morris Legal this past week, August 7, just filed a second amended complaint. And that second amended complaint is a lot juicier. They've conducted a lot of investigation. They got a lot of information. And all of that information is in that second amended complaint. It's a better complaint than the one before. It's tighter. It's a great complaint. I've read it. It's a great complaint. Now, I've also noticed, and I'm not going to name of people, but I've also noticed that there are about 67 new defendants that are being sued under the second amended complaint. And when I read the complaint, it kind of makes sense why the law firm decided to bring these people in, because each and every one of the new defendants that are named in the complaints are people who were very, very close to Cynthia Pétion who actually, not only they were close to Cynthia Petio, but remember what I said before Novatech came to be, Cynthia Petio was in charge of AWS, another Ponzi scheme where she claims she was mining crypto and that people can invest money. And a lot of people lost a lot of money. But the same people who were involved in AWS were exactly the same people then who followed Cynthia Petio and Eddie Petio into Novatech. So they knew that Novatech was a Ponzi scheme. They are guilty of participating in a Ponzi scheme because they knew. It isn't like they don't know. So all of these people are being sued, and some of them have seen their name. They're professional people. The law firm have tracked them down, know exactly where they live, know exactly which bank they banked on. So a lot of people are going to have a lot of headaches because you don't want to be sued in federal court by anyone. This is not something you can get away with. This is something that would affect your credit. It would affect your property. You could lose everything you ever worked hard for. But I've always believed that if someone engaged in something that's illegal, if you made money by stealing from people, then you ought to lose that. So a lot of people, 67 of the new defendant individual people, are going to have a lot of problem, a lot of expending to do. So now the complaint, the amended complaint has been filed. It's in the court. It's been filed. The next step now is to serve some of the new defendants that are named in the complaint. And those new defendants, once they're served, they have to get their lawyer. They have to come to court. They have to explain what happened, and so on and so forth. But I can guarantee you that they will get Cynthia Petio. Cynthia Petio would be brought to justice. I mean, they'll get her, and they will find where the money is, where the crypto accounts are, where the money is, and all of these people will have their day in court because it just simply is what's going to happen. Now, for some of you, certainly who are impatient, I know a lot of you sent email, and I've seen some of the email where you talk about, well, I haven't heard anything since the last time we talk about this. I don't know what's going on. What I can tell you that a lot has been going on. A lot have been going on. It's just that there's a thing that the law firm chooses not to publicly discuss because they don't talk about, the investigators don't talk to sort of how they're investigating this, how they're coming, because you don't want to let people know what you're doing. Otherwise, they're going to try to stop you. But I can tell you, having been privy of some of that information, there's a lot of things going on. Now, you're just going to have to be a little patient. Like I said, when you are in court, you know, the wheel of justice moved very slowly, even though, you know, it bent toward justice, as Martin Luther King said, but it moved very slowly. So you're just going to have to be very patient. I know that the law firm had put together a very nice website, and I'm going to show you the website, you know, now, so that you can see it. Now, that website, if you need information or if you need to send an email, you can always log into that website, and you will see the updates of what's going on with Novatech, what's going on with Novatech. So don't be impatient. It's gonna take time, but I'm sure you're gonna get result. We're gonna get solutions. We're gonna get things resolved. But it's just that that's the name of the beast. It's not something that the lawyers can speed up or I can speed up. It's just what's gonna happen. It's just how it happens. So, having said that, I will continue to update you on the status of the lawsuit. I'll continue to let you know what's going on, where the lawsuit is. Right now, the lawsuit is still sort of in its infancy, where a baby's born. The lawsuit is still young, so to speak. I think there's one or two lawyers who've already appeared for some of the defendants. There would be more lawyers that would appear on behalf of the defendants. Once people start getting copy of the summons and complaint, people are going to turn up, their lawyers are going to turn up. From at that point, the real litigation begins. but knowing that litigation takes time, so it's gonna be a while, guys. A while before we can talk about any money. Because remember that Eddie Alexson and Cynthia Alexson have not been arrested, although I believe they will be. They haven't been arrested. And it would be a matter of time when, the FBI pick them up. Once that happens, there'll be a whole flow of activities, of things that's going to happen. But at this point, there is no receiver, okay? And the class action lawsuit, it's working its way up. So eventually, there will be a receiver appointed, or there would be the class action lawsuit would be approved by the court so that the case could continue as a class action. But please be very patient. Things are coming through. Just be very patient. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, and I have to tell you that I was very, very taken by this. I just couldn't understand it. During the investigation, there were people who lost money in the prior Ponzi scheme that Cynthia Patron was in charge. It was AWS, right? Now, believe it or not, those same people turn around and invested in Novatech, knowing that Cynthia Patron committed fraud with AWS, and now that she was involved in another sort of fraudulent activity, but yet people trust and gave her money. And the other thing that I was very surprised by, very surprised, is that I have seen videos of Cynthia Patron. And the first time I saw her video, and I said, this woman is a very convincing liar. And what she did was that she uses God. She gave her name the title of Reverend to sort of say, oh, I'm holy, everything is fine, while she's cutting your pocket open, while she's stealing from you. And she did it in a very clever way, because a lot of people believe, oh, if somebody come to me and there's a pastor, I heard Reverend, all of a sudden God is with us. And I think that's what she did. And she did it very convincingly. Now, what I find amazing is that the state attorney's office of New York filed a separate lawsuit against Cynthia Patron, Eddie Patron, Dr. Jean-Martin Zizi, Francis Sewan, and some of the people in the Haitian community who've been pushing this, knowing that this was a Ponzi scheme. They were being sued. They are being sued now by the state attorney general. And during the investigation from the state attorney's office, they subpoenaed a whole bunch of people, and one of the people they subpoenaed was Francis Sewan and Dr. Martin Zizi. If you look at the complaint that the state attorney, Letitia Jim, filed in Supreme Court of New York, this is the trial court, the Supreme Court of New York in Manhattan, they said there's a quote in there where Cynthia Patron said, these people have nowhere to go. They're like sheep. They do whatever you tell them to do without asking question. I'm going to repeat. Cynthia Patron is quoted saying that you, the investors of Novatech, are like sheep. You do what you were told to do without asking any questions, and then you've got nowhere to go. That's the first thing she said. So totally disrespected all of you. All of you invested. The other thing she said was that people with money do not invest it in Ponzi scheme. People with money, people who are born rich, do not invest in Ponzi scheme. So she knew, I mean, she had to know that she was stealing your money. The people around her, the people that was working closely with her, who made millions of dollars, they all knew this was a Ponzi scheme. What I don't understand is that there are some remarkable people, doctors, entrepreneurs, people who are very successful on their own prior to get involved in that Ponzi scheme, somewhat got involved with Cynthia Petrie and her husband, basically convinced a whole bunch of people to actually invest in Novatech. And I don't know why would anyone who's successful would do something like that. I mean, they're just too smart to say that they didn't know this was a Ponzi scheme, how they don't know what was going on, or they thought that they were going to make millions. That's nonsense. I'm never going to believe it. I don't think a judge would believe it because, you get to a point in your life where you get credit for your experience and your education. You can't come back and say, oh, yeah, I'm pleading, no, I didn't know, I didn't know. No, that's not going to happen. So those are the people who helped her, and they knew. Now, I am going to tell you something, guys. And I have been saying this for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. Since I started with MNEFX, I've been telling my viewers to be very, very careful about investment in Bitcoin. Very careful. This is a technology that could do a lot of good. It also could do a lot of bad. There are a lot of bad people out there who are looking to cash in to make some money because they know you don't have the knowledge. And a lot of people who invested in MNEFX, if you tell them to spell Bitcoin, they couldn't. They don't know what the hell a Bitcoin is. But they were investing because this woman, who supposedly was a pastor, told them that they were going to be rich. All the while, she was telling the close associate, the people that are close to her, that they know this company was bullshit. Nobody's going to make any money. They're just taking people's money, and people's going to give them money without asking question. And they did. And people give them money, billions of dollars. They did give her the money without asking questions. So my advice to you is that if for whatever reason you are interested in crypto, you want to invest money because you think you're going to get rich in 18 months or 3 years, the least you can do for yourself, the least you can do is to do some research. Look at the company you invested in, talk to people, find out what's going on. Because a lot of you, when I did my first video on MNEFX, and I said, listen, this is a woman who claimed bankruptcy just like 4 years before that. She had AWS, which was a Ponzi scheme. She turned around in 2019 and started Novatech. No one bothered to research her. No one bothered to do some research, some really deep, serious research. And everybody started giving her money. And she did something really, really smart. And she's a criminal, but she did something smart. What she did was to use affinity fraud. What does that mean, affinity fraud? So what she did was, for example, in the Haitian community, she found people that are respected, doctors, entrepreneurs, pastors, and she used them and offered them big money to convince members of the Haitian community to invest in that Ponzi scheme. She did the same thing in South America. If you go to Brazil, you go to Mexico, Peru, Guatemala, Panama, she used people in that community who speak the language that would be very hard for people to question their loyalty because of their standing in the community. She used these people to sort of convince other people to actually invest. And that's how she raised all these billions of dollars because, people believed that they were going to get rich. Now, I'm hoping for two things. First, I'm hoping that the FBI make an arrest soon, but also I'm very confident that the investigators will be able to look at all the assets, all the Bitcoins, and we'll be able to sort of freeze it and get some of that money back for you. But this would take time in order for us to get there. So what I'm saying to you guys, please be patient. You can always email, send me messages. You can also email the law firm. You can go to the website, willmorrislaw.com. You'll see the website here. You can go there and you can get information. There'll be enough information available for you to get. But like I said, and I've said this to you before, any document that you have, please make sure that you save them. I know some of you have sent a lot of documents to the law firm, so they have managed to catalog all these documents and put them under the individual name. And when they need it, those documents are going to be there. So if there's a new document that you haven't submitted to the firm, you want to do that as soon as possible, or at least you want to keep it in a safe place. So this is my update for you guys with regard to Novatech. I will continue to update you, once things happen. But what I want to do for you guys, I'm going to try to see if I can get the attorney, Mr. Morris, to sort of come to my show, here on YouTube, and see if we can get him to give you an update. As a lawyer who was close to the case, he'll be able to answer questions. So if he agrees before the end of the year, before the end of this month or early next month, we'll try to put something together where he and I can sort of talk a little bit about what to expect, where we are, how things are going, how people are going to be served, and so on and so forth. All of those questions that you may have, you will get answered. So have a nice weekend, be safe, and please do not